Welcome to One Take Wine. It's wine popping hour. Without further ado, why don't we just jump right in? The first one, and I'm not too sure we can see the color on this or not. Maybe. It's quite gold in any case. Very ripe apple. Almost peachy too. Peach and apples, I think, are the predominant nose. Very, very much apple musty, which makes sense. Some lemon, lovely little mineral. This has been open overnight, so it's gotten a little fatter since then. It was a bit more precision oriented and lighter, I would say, surprisingly light. And although it's not a hugely fat wine today, and it's maybe atypical in that sense, it has a very mineral, very, very mineral second third and third third with a giant squeeze of that apple freshness and peachy sweetness right at the beginning, kind of getting a little bit bitter and a little very dry towards the finish. This is a wine that I wanted to check out because I've been sort of going through what the house is offering these days, and it's fairly new. It's Domaine de Closiers. During the summer, I talked about a rarer Chardonnay from these parts, which I really enjoyed. So I had to try this, which is the Allegory, 2020 Allegory, and that's Chardonnay. So, you know, those appley tones make a lot of sense. There's an apple pie, bit of those kind of baking spices sense to it. It is a little bit lighter, I think, than some of the sort of bigger Chardonnays you might get from, from the area. And I understand the attraction. I really do. I mean, first of all, price-wise, you can't beat, quality wines from a good French region, well-made, obviously, and price performance, right up there. So understandable from that perspective. At the same time, my beloved Chardonnay, I mean, it's so anti that in a way. And especially being open overnight, I think helped it a lot. It helped put a little bit of fat on it. And I think the longer it stays in bottle, the more it will develop. But I think there's a ceiling to this one right now. I don't know how old the grapes are. I don't know how long ago they were planted. We might be dealing with some young plants. Like all the wines from this Domaine de Closiers, I think this is going places. And it's very, very fun to be here early on while the wines are still accessible. I don't think they will be, actually, in the future. Hey, let's move on to the second wine. Big nose. Big, warm, huggy, bare nose. Almost, okay, a couple things going on here. There's that kind of rustic, from two different places. I'm going to mention three. Saint-Emilion, Amarone, and Spain, northern Spain. It's that sort of black currant sweetness with a little bit of horseshit. I know the label, I know where it comes from. Of course, I'm making that association, but the fruit itself reminds me of Vega Sicilia's wines, which always have that sort of dirty, that little outdoorsy, barnsy feel about them. While those wines tend to be a little bit more chiseled, they're grand maids in their stature. And this is less chiseled. It's a little flatter, but the fruit is very typical of them. I'll get into who produces this wine in a second. I think there's some bitter black licorice root here. There's pepper. Very drying tannins towards the finish. Starting already halfway through the wine and all the way through the end. So there's this kind of bitterness to it. I think it needs a bit more of a freshness to it. to achieve what I think that they were hoping to achieve. And I'm just guessing on that. That's a 2018 Macán. Macán. I don't know how you pronounce it really. It's a Rioja. And it's a cooperation between Mouton Rothschild and Vega, Sicilia. And these ones I tend to try every year because, I mean, the price window that they're in right now, for those, to have those types of names making wine together, it's ridiculous not to try them. Maybe this just needs a bit more time. Although I can feel like it's already had, and I even saw it in the bottle, there was some, there's a little bit of dust there, sort of settling some remnants. I don't find Rioja in here, but I'm not too sure that it's meant to. I think that maybe they're trying to do something with the terroir that they have there, with the sites that they have there, but it doesn't necessarily have to reflect old school Rioja. It doesn't. Still worth pursuing. I think if you like Vega, you'll recognize it. The tannins get in the way of the prolongation of that fruit and the depth of that fruit, I would say. They do at the moment, but who knows what's going to happen with time. I've only had this open for an hour. Hey, I am happy. Number 3, it is a 3B day after all. What do we got in the glass? Well, you can see that there's some bubbles. They're not nearly as exuberant as they were obviously on opening. Very pale yellow color right now. A bit of gunflint and smoke on the nose. No yeast, no bread, nothing like that. Yeah, a bitter orange fruit. I'm going to say it. Yuzu, yuzu fruit. So that sort of green lime and orange kind of flavor, brightness at the same time, sunshiny without being warm. This has an interesting potential. First of all, it's super clean. I really appreciate that. It's super clean. It's not super mineral. I won't go that far. I won't say it's mineral in that sense. A little grapefruit. So maybe that's the kind of the bitterness to it, which I think yuzu has anyway. The citrus element is a little deeper maybe than yuzu could be, and not as sweet as yuzu. So it's a very dry wine, remarkably polished and well made. I would guess champagne. I would maybe leaning towards Bollinger, but Bollinger I think is a little bit deeper. This lacks depth. Once you get past the first wave of the initial effect in the mouth, and you kind of dive under and you expect more to happen, it sort of gets a little tranquil there. It sort of falls asleep. I think the finish comes back quite nicely and sort of settles in this strangely peaceful effect. I think this would be a fantastic food wine. There's a dimension missing from this, and at the same time, it's very different. So it's interesting from that perspective. The Grace, Blanc de Blanc. Yeah, hand-harvested Chardonnay. It's a wine of Yamanashi, Japan. 12% alcohol, 5 years on the lees, and disgorged in April 2021. A little on the pricey side, but I mean, still fairly reasonable, and definitely worth it if you want to try something different. I think what's missing from this is maybe the terroir and the sunshine, but what's here in spades is very much the craft, the attention to detail, and the finesse that you put into the work and into creating something special. I think that is very much in evidence here, and I think it's worth it. I think it's definitely worth its price. All right, I think that's all I've got for this time, but thanks so much for watching. Stay thirsty, and we'll see you next time.